Hey everyone, Luke here from FullFunnel. I wanted to jump in here and record a part 2 for our automated content production engine. In part 1, I talk you through a bit of a V1, V2 of what our content production currently does look like and the manual processes behind that. And then I talk you through the V2 and essentially what our automated content production content engine essentially looks like. And yeah, I just wanted to talk you through a bit more of a detailed run through, look under the hood of how everything kind of works in the background and what the ultimate end product is off the back of that process. You'll be able to see that everything kind of starts with a Clay workbook, and it's a pretty comprehensive one. You'll see that there's a number of different tables in here, and the main goal of this is to essentially get a full 360-degree view of what the market is currently discussing about a certain topic, a certain keyword. This being GTM, go-to-market engineering specifically for this workbook and for this workflow. So you'll see if we look at some of the tables, essentially this is the first table that we're looking at, and it is a predefined list of GTM thought leaders that we think are relevant within the market at the moment and are important sort of people and users to keep an eye on what they're saying and what they're discussing around go-to-market engineering and GTM. We then move through to getting an understanding of what the general market is saying and specifically what buyers are saying and discussing. So you'll see that we have 3 different tables here looking at what people are saying about GTM on Reddit, what people are saying about GTM on X, and what people are saying about GTM on LinkedIn. Now, what you'll see is at the top left here, all of these tables are on auto run. So they're running on a schedule every single week. And it just allows us to stay as up to date as possible with the latest and greatest sort of conversations and discussions around go-to-market engineering. Off the back of that, we then sort of summarize all of that information into a separate table. And because we're wanting to get a full sort of 360-degree view of what the market is discussing around GTM, we're also looking at what people are saying about Clay on LinkedIn, as well as what people are saying about Clay on Reddit. And then we're also looking at what Clay is actually saying and what Clay is specifically saying about GTM and go-to-market engineering. We're also wanting to make sure that we're not forgetting anything and sort of potentially missing conversations that are important and valuable. So we are also looking at other SaaS companies. So people like Zoom Info, Demandbase, 6 Sense, etc. And we're essentially seeing what people are saying about those other SaaS companies on LinkedIn and Reddit. And then again, summarizing all of that and also looking at what those SaaS companies are actually saying about GTM as well. And then the final piece of the puzzle is understanding what our competitors are saying. So specific full funnel competitors, what are they currently discussing around GTM, go-to-market engineering within the market? That is then all being pushed into a Google Sheet. And you'll see if you look at the tabs at the bottom here, it kind of mirrors those tables with a bit of consolidation happening. So for example, we had the 3 different platforms for GTM sort of buyers and GTM general market. We're then consolidating that down to one single tab. We're then pushing this into a sort of Gemini analysis in conjunction with our Google Search Console data. So you'll see that this is essentially looking at all of the various different queries or target keywords that we're currently ranking for, as well as the pages that we're ranking for, how we're ranking for those keywords, what is the click-through rate, the clicks, impressions, all those keywords as well. The Gemini analysis is then sort of layering that in on top of the social listening data, and it is essentially identifying this final output, which is essentially an analysis of the GTM narratives by group. And it's then looking at these narratives and core themes being discussed by Clay buyers, the Clay team, etc., and identifying major content gaps based on what is being discussed in the market and what we as FullFunnel are currently ranking for based on our Search Console data. And you'll see that it's essentially then identifying these major content gaps, and off the back of this, identifying how these content gaps can be turned into blogs. This analysis is getting pushed into our Slack channel, and you'll see here, this is essentially what it looks like. We open that up, you'll see it is essentially that output that you were looking at there in that Google Doc. So it's the analysis all the way through to the core content gaps. And then following that, we're essentially putting 3 different blogs. So this blog article is around what is a GTM engineer. The second one is around the modern GTM tech stack. And then the third one is around signal versus the noise. And what that third blog looks like is essentially this output into a Google Doc. And as you can see, it is a pretty comprehensive, well-rounded blog. It's pretty close to perfect in our opinion, based on our testing and our analysis. There is obviously some formatting that needs to happen within this to make it sort of publish ready. But we found that it's very close to a finished product. Once that QA, QC and that formatting is done, we found that getting it live to the site is pretty straightforward as well. So we're really, really excited about this. And I think it's really changing a lot of how we approach content production, raw content specifically in this instance. But I think beyond that, there's a lot of applications that can take place for social media as well as video content production, and the possibilities really are endless. If you guys have any questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to help.